"What's your name?" I hesitated just a little, then told him, "Nikky." "Nikky," I mouthed silently as we waited for oncoming vehicles to stop so we could get in on the road. Where did that come from? "Your place," I said in response to his question earlier. "Make a left turn." I made a left as soon as it was okay to turn in and waited for him to tell me his name too. He didn't, and I chose not to press the matter. On hindsight, I don't think I wanted to know his name. I didn't want to know the name of the man I was going to betray my husband with. He laid his hand on my lap and it felt completely wrong. I wanted to stop and ask him to get down, but my body directed me to drive on and keep my mouth shut. I'd been starved for too long. I wanted the longing to go away. I looked down on my ring finger as if to remind myself that no matter what my body said, it wasn't mine to do as I pleased. Boy man hadn't taken his eyes off me since we got into the car. I wondered what he was thinking, what he thought of me. "Do you want to take those off?" he asked me. Do I want to take what off? Those shackles. I didn't quite understand what he meant. "You've lost me," I said to him. "Your rings, of course. Don't you just feel like you're in bondage?" "I love my husband, okay?" "You do?" he asked, with that annoying, cocky smile of his. Remind me again, please. Where are we going?" That did it. I finally found the guts I needed. I rammed on my brakes and asked him to get down. We locked eyes like we did when I walked into the restaurant. Only that it was different this time. Now we were daring each other. "I'm sorry. Forgive me," he said in a moment, one hand on his chest, the other back on my lap. The smile was back in place too, but it had lost its cockiness and was now quite warm, very warm. I've never done this before. I never would have dared, but there's something so irresistible about you, something pulling me to you. Can you feel it? The only thing pulling me toward him was sex, nothing more. He leaned forward and planted a kiss on my cheek. I didn't see that coming, and it took me completely by surprise. I want you. I wanted him too. I thought to take off my ring to make me feel more comfortable as we continued on to his place, but that wouldn't change the fact that I was about to commit adultery. If I was going to do this, I had to stop beating myself over it and get it over and done with. I shouldn't even be feeling guilty about anything. If Edmund had done his duties by me as my husband, I wouldn't be here in the first place. He deserved to be cheated on, I told myself. With that, I pushed the thought of him out of my mind. Time enough to feel guilty afterwards, if I'll feel guilty at all. When we got to the GRA Boys' Quarter apartment, I hesitated before getting down from the car. What if someone I knew saw me, or someone who knew Edmund? Maybe someone who was at our wedding. Boy man came over to my side, opened the door, took my hand and helped me out of the car. Well, about time. I came here to have sex. I should do just that as quickly as possible. Leave and never come back. Somewhere in my mind, I resolved to go for confession before the week ran out, to clean up my slate with God. And wondered if I would be bold enough to tell this new sin, this grievous sin, to Father Leola. You see, Father Leola is a charismatic Reverend Father who preached like they do in Pentecostal churches. He'd been teaching a series on the Holy Spirit and telling us how he lived in our bodies. The thought of the Holy Spirit came to mind as I walked behind Boy Man into his apartment. I was certain he would have taken his leave of my body the moment I set eyes on Boy Man. So, thankfully, he wasn't here, watching, and probably scowling. I said it all right later when I went for confession, I told myself. Boy Man got to work immediately. We were indoors. He pulled me into his arms and started to kiss me. This time, I wasn't taken by surprise. I returned it wholeheartedly. His hand worked his way to my back and pulled at my zip. I felt blood rush to my head as he unzipped my dress. It slid to the floor and he pushed me onto the bed. Suddenly, he wasn't a boy man any longer. He was 100% man. He took me to heights that I'd never got to with Edmund. It was as if we were both starved. Through it all, somehow, the thought of the grievousness of what I was letting happen didn't even cross my mind. 3 rounds later, I got dressed, ready to leave, absolutely satisfied. That was when the floodgates of guilt and shame opened up and gushed on me. I sank onto the bed and lowered my face into my palm in shame. How did I get here? My phone started ringing again. It had been ringing on and off since we got here. It must be my mom wondering why it was taking me so long to get to her place, I thought. If she could see me now, she'd have a heart failure. My pious mother would certainly die of shame and shock. The phone stopped ringing, then started again. This time, man searched it out from my bag. He told me the caller ID said Mom. I made no move to take the phone from him and let it ring. A while later, man asked me what school I attended. University of Houston, Victoria, I told him, without a thought. Are you okay? How could he ask me that? Did I look okay? I couldn't look up. Me, that had laid on his bed with such abandon, couldn't look him in the eye now, after giving myself to him without reservation. I didn't even want to breathe the same air as him. I wish I could take back the hands of time, go back home and remain home all day. Oh God, why didn't you force me to stay home all day, or force my car to drive straight to Mom's? I thought. In a million years, I never thought I was capable of cheating on my husband. Yet, here I was, straight out of the bed of another man. I felt like dying. I know you think I'm heartless for depriving you of sex, but the only reason I'm not indulging your every urge is so you learn to control yourself. However, I've also realized that that is not enough to keep you in check. Because quite frankly, you're nothing short of a maniac, a sex maniac. The only cure to keep you from being aroused 24/7 is to have you circumcised.